We are following breaking news. A person is shot in the parking lot of MedStar Harbor Hospital. We'll have a live report. With ongoing quality of life crime throughout the city, how some residents are taking justice into their own hands. And two Baltimore fire unions endorsing Mayor Brandon Scott today, despite concern over a lack of funding. We press union leaders on why they've changed their tune.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 News at 6.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for staying with us. I'm Mary Bubala. We're following some breaking news tonight after a shooting in the parking lot of MedStar Harbor Hospital. Fox 45's Jeff Abel live at the scene with new details for us. Jeff?
Well, this hospital is no stranger to emergencies, but this afternoon, Harbor Hospital here became a crime scene. About 3 o'clock this afternoon, police say a 32-year-old man who had been in a fight elsewhere drove himself to this hospital. Now, police tell us that he had been followed to the hospital by the suspect. And when the victim pulled into the parking lot, the suspect pulled a gun and shot him. He was injured in the upper body. The parking lot quickly became a crime scene. Tonight, it has been cleared at this hour. Police tell us they do have several people of interest in custody. We're told the victim is in stable condition. We'll have much more as details become available. We're live, Jeff Abel, Fox 45 News.
Thank you. Also breaking tonight, Baltimore County Police say one man was shot along Saturn Court in Parkville. Police not releasing many details, including the victim's condition or any suspect information, but a shooting in Parkville tonight. Fox 45 News will continue to follow both shootings, bring you more details as they come into our newsroom and, of course, on Fox 45 News at 10. You can also stay updated on our website, foxbaltimore.com. Ongoing crime throughout the city causing some residents to take justice into their own hands. Fox 45's Mackenzie Frost pressed the mayor on those quality of life crimes and his plans for Baltimore's future.
We obtained a memo sent from the police union to its members outlining serious concerns about salary negotiations and staffing within BPD. That paired with the property crimes that continue to plague communities across the city, we asked Mayor Brandon Scott if this is what voters should expect to see if he's reelected later this year. Hardly a week goes by without hearing something like this
We just received an armed person call
over the police scanner.
A carjacking last night, that was scary.
This time, it was the victim who tried to fire back.
They were attempting to rob or carjack the victim. The victim withdrew his legal firearm and discharged once at them.
Before thieves drove off in their car, this neighbor,
we were in the living room and we just heard a pop.
Says these crimes in her Pigtown neighborhood have become all too common.
I don't want to be a victim, so I know that we've discussed, doing a conceal and license to carry and things of that nature, and definitely taking the proper and appropriate steps to carry a gun.
But it's not just this incident where neighbors are taking matters into their own hands. Check out this doorbell video capturing young criminals breaking a window and diving into a Kia, only stopped when another neighbor turns around after seeing the crime unfold. Then the suspects taking off down the street.
Statistically, it's going to happen.
The surge in quality of life crimes happening as Baltimore police remain significantly understaffed. Fox 45 News obtaining this new memo dated March 11th from Baltimore Police Union's president, Mike Mancuso. Ahead of contract talks, Mancuso writes to members, "Talk is cheap, and BPD is at a breaking point. You are severely overworked and underpaid. Will you continue to run yourselves into the ground for a mayor that clearly does not respect you?" Mancuso says the department is 700 officers short and losing more by the week, adding there are about 575 fully duty officers working in Baltimore, in a city dominated by demands for crime solutions. Fox 45 News compiling a list of vacancies within police departments across the state. Howard County, 2.4%, less than 1% in Harford County Sheriff's Office. Baltimore County, 13.2% vacancy rate, but Baltimore City, 22.5%. With more and more people either afraid of property crimes in Baltimore or taking matters into their own hands to prevent crime.
Thank you and good morning.
Monday, we questioned Mayor Brandon Scott about the future. Is that the type of environment Baltimore City voters can expect to see if elected again?
No, the type of environment Baltimore City voters can expect to see is having the largest homicide reduction the city's ever seen, seeing public safety go in the right direction.
The mayor chalking up recruiting struggles to a nationwide trend and instead doubling down on declining violent crime numbers.
But what we're going to focus on is continuing having, as we're talking right now, a 17% reduction in violent crime on top of a historic reduction last year.
So what do you say to the people who are continuing to deal with these property crimes? Is that not a priority for you?
No, it's very much a priority, and I think you and I talked about this recently. When you look at the numbers of arrests that the police department, our fine women and men in the police department have made for things like auto theft, for things like carjacking, for things like larceny, we can see that the arrests are happening. But as you very well know, what's happening is the same people are being let out.
Mayor Scott shirking responsibility and instead placing blame at the feet of lawmakers in Annapolis. But the reality on the ground in Baltimore, between February 25th through March 2nd, a 7-day span, 54 robberies were reported to police, 48 burglaries, 130 cars stolen, and so far this year in the city, 1,377 cars have been stolen. Some recent polling indicates Baltimore City voters remain concerned about public safety. Mayor Brandon Scott continues to lag behind his biggest challenger, Sheila Dixon. In the newsroom, Mackenzie Frost, Fox 45 News.
Despite concerns about staffing, response times, and the use of ARPA dollars, 2 fire unions are endorsing Baltimore Mayor Brandon Scott in his re-election campaign. In recent years, the unions have been speaking up about funding, call volumes, and staffing shortages. But today, 2 Baltimore fire unions endorsed Mayor Scott and were highly critical of his competitor, Sheila Dixon, and her criminal history and rotating closures of fire companies during her tenure as mayor. Fox 45 News asked the union about today's endorsement.
There's a communication breakdown. I didn't realize that those funds were being worked on at the time, and now that I know that, that's why we have those funds available, and the mayor's working hard to give us a lot of those ARPA money, so it's definitely going to help us out.
Dixon responding to the union's endorsement, saying in part that, unlike Mayor Scott, she would have already used ARPA money to help the fire department.
I always made fun, there's 2 things certain, and that's taxes and death. Now they're going to get money out of my pocket when they put me in the ground.
Maryland is facing a $3 billion transportation budget shortfall, and lawmakers in Annapolis are working through several proposals to make up for it, which could impact your wallet. One proposal is House Bill 1515, which would lower Maryland's sales tax from 6% to 5%. But more services would be taxed, like haircuts and car repairs. The bill's sponsor says the changes would bring in a net $3 billion a year. But opponents worry about what it would cost Marylanders.
It's going to add thousands and thousands to the cost of buying and owning a home.
And there are also questions surrounding what not to tax, such as nonprofit, health, religious, and child care costs. We asked taxpayer watchdog David Williams how these proposed changes could impact you.
When you hear about this, it usually means raising taxes or fees. What do you think? Is that an option? Is that going to happen?
Well, there have been some proposals to raise taxes and to raise these user fees. My concern is that you never get the revenue that you project when you raise taxes or fees. And a lot of the fees, when you talk about tolls, and that's one of the things they're talking about, is increasing tolls. Well, that's probably going to go towards transportation spending, but also it hurts the lower and middle income folks the most.
Well, Williams went on to say the good news is the budget isn't finished yet. The Senate is set to vote on this bill soon, and Senate President Bill Ferguson has indicated it will not move forward. Strong winds continue throughout our area tonight, but we're making way for some spring-like temperatures this week. Chief Meteorologist Gerard Jabali joins us with what we can expect. This will be a nice change.
I love when I get to deliver good news to everybody. I mean, I love taking credit, but not so much the blame. So if you didn't like this past weekend weather, I'm just the messenger for that. But I'll take all the credit for what we're about to see coming up in just the next couple of days. Here's how things are looking outside. We're watching the flag over here towards Federal Hill Park, and as you can see, man, it's been just hanging on tight, but we're going to start to see the winds relaxing here very soon, and they already have somewhat. They've come down from gusts of 50 miles per hour. Now we're seeing a few gusts here that are only around 30 to 35 miles per hour. At least temperatures were pleasant enough. 54 degrees is pretty much on par with what we would get around here, but we're going to see things soar in the coming days. Tonight, just a dip down into the low 40s, mostly clear skies. The wind will be down as well, so I'll be able to put my trash bin tonight and find it most likely where I put it, unlike all of you other unlucky folks who had to do that last night. But here's what we can expect. Winds will be diminishing a bit, and we'll see this huge temperature roller coaster coming in the next 7 days. We're going to show that to you, as well as to be tracking our next chances of rain, which arrive by the weekend. We're not saying it's going to be a washout all weekend long. We'll talk about that coming up.
I'm Kayla Gaskins in Washington. Coming up, President Biden's age. Once again, a top topic here on Capitol Hill.
And now you can watch Fox 45 News for free anytime on Amazon Fire TV or Samsung TV Plus. On Capitol Hill this week, President Biden's age is once again front and center. Sinclair national correspondent Kayla Gaskins has a closer look.
Special counsel Robert Hur will testify before Congress Tuesday, his first chance to publicly address the decision to not recommend prosecuting President Biden for mishandling classified documents. Biden's age is expected to be a top topic. In the final report, Hur describing Biden's memory as significantly limited, fuzzy, and faulty, and said Biden couldn't remember when his son Beau died. A key reason he didn't charge Biden was because, Hur wrote, a jury might view Biden as a sympathetic, well-meaning elderly man with a poor memory.
They're going to expend,
Age concerns increasingly threatening Biden's re-election campaign. A recent New York Times Siena College poll shows the majority of Americans who voted for Biden in 2020 now say he is too old to be effective. Attempting to address these apprehensions, the president releasing a new ad.
Look, I'm not a young guy. That's no secret.
Biden's allies voicing strong support.
President Joe Biden had an incredible State of the Union address. He was strong. He was serious.
Meanwhile, a super PAC aligned with Donald Trump releasing this dark attack ad.
We can all see Joe Biden's weakness. If Biden wins, can he even survive till 2029?
The RNC posting a string of apparent gaffes by Biden, like one where he seems to refer to himself as the vice president instead of president.
The most diverse cabinet administration in American history, led by a vice president.
And Mary, meanwhile, House Republicans are reportedly still waiting for the Department of Justice to hand over all the documents and recordings they requested in connection to Robert Hur's investigation into the president. Some of the materials were handed over last week, but not all.
I was going to ask, what else do Republicans want from the DOJ that they didn't get?
Mary, Republicans really want the raw material that caused Robert Hur to describe Joe Biden as an elderly man with poor memory. So they want to see the transcripts, or even better, the audio recordings of Hur's interview with Biden. The DOJ did write a letter to House Judiciary Chair Jim Jordan explaining these documents were being held back because they require review for classification and protection of national defense information.
All right, Kayla Gaskins reporting live for us from D.C. Kayla, thank you. Well, President Biden is calling for higher taxes on the wealthy to pay for lowering costs on daycare, health care, and housing. The White House says there will be enough in new taxes to bring the national debt down by $3 trillion over the next decade. Along with offering universal pre-K, it would also provide 12 weeks of paid family leave and create a new tax break for first-time home buyers. President Biden says it's on the wealthy to pay their fair share on these investments.
Folks, look, I'm a capitalist. If you can make $1 billion, wonderful. Just pay your fair share, man. Not 8.2%. If you paid 25%, we'd have $500 billion more over the next 10 years.
The $7.2 trillion budget likely won't pass in a GOP-controlled House. Biden would hike the minimum tax on billion-dollar corporations from 15% to 21%, along with limiting tax deductions for executive compensation.
All right, good evening. Here's a look at your triple cast. We are watching on the left. We have the wind advisory still lagging behind a bit in a few of our counties, but they're starting to be removed. In the meantime, it has been a windy day, and we are seeing that very clearly on some of our camera views. If we're not seeing trees blowing in the wind, we're seeing flags blowing in the wind. But the one thing I definitely want to point out is on the top right. You see the smokestack? That is pretty amazing, the fact that the wind has blowing that smoke so far over, it doesn't even have time to rise in the air. So we've got some strong winds out there. Let's talk about what is coming here. Our next weather maker, thankfully, is not set to arrive until we get later into the weekend. In the meantime, we're seeing the wind just blasting things around. Since that is still left over from the last storm system, we are just going to see the winds gradually relaxing throughout the evening. So the best news I can give you is that we are only 8 days away from the official start to spring, but also we are going to see real spring weather long before that. Get ready. We have a fun ride we're going on, and I'll show you why I'm calling it that. Temperatures right now in the 50s. It's been comfortable enough today, but the wind has been a problem, no doubt. And we're continuing to see the winds gusting 35 miles per hour. So some of the places around the area are still gusting only around 25. And overall, we're just watching as that slowly diminishes. All of our west side of the Bay counties continuing to come down. But you can notice Chestertown, Stevensville, Easton, all the way to Denton in the Delaware border still have the wind advisory. And that's in effect until around 8 o'clock. All right, a big warming trend has already begun. You are going to feel it big time as we head into Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Watch what happens on FutureScan. Tonight, we're dropping down to the 40s. Not bad. We can handle that. But as we head into the afternoon tomorrow, it is going to just feel wonderful. Sunshine, highs in the upper 60s, around 70 degrees temperatures. I mean, that's just awesome already, but guess what? It gets even better. We're talking about upper 40s in the beginning of your Thursday morning and low to mid 70s on the table for Thursday afternoon. And it's sunshine, not just rain with the warm that we've had to deal with. So we have been so fortunate already to have the first half of the week look dry and warm. We're talking 20 degrees above our average high. So I'm calling this a fun ride because this is a temperature roller coaster we're going on. A big dive, a big spill down the hill as we get into Saturday, Sunday, Monday as our temperatures drop into the upper 50s. Now the question is about rainfall. We've got our next chance coming as we head into Friday, so we will see scattered showers possible that could linger a bit into your weekend, but we're not calling this a washout. We'll be back here in just a bit with your 10-day forecast.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
A weekend storm pummeled the New England coast, from these big waves in Rhode Island to across Maine, including here about 80 miles northeast of Portland. And a pilot shared photos of St. Elmo's fire from a flight near Orlando last weekend. The bright flashes of plasma happen when the atmosphere is heavily charged and a thunderstorm is likely nearby.
Want to see your weather photos and videos on TV? Click Chime In on this station's website to share.
Teens targeted in Prince George's County over popular clothing. How the community is stepping up to keep kids safe. In Prince George's County, fashion choices are turning teens into targets, and now the community is stepping up to protect kids from becoming victims. Brad Bell from our Sinclair sister station in D.C. has details from Springdale.
It often happens suddenly, as it did in this caught-on-camera robbery in the district. People in that car pointing a gun at a college student on a bicycle, taking their high-end winter coat. Now it's happening to high school students in Prince George's County, like the 14-year-old shot in Hyattsville in January as he fought to keep his coat. Flowers High School students now being warned by their principal not to wear the trendy brands like Canada Goose and Moose Knuckle jackets and Balenciaga sneakers. Students we speak to angered by the crime trend.
Many of my peers have been targeted based off what they're wearing.
It's like, why you gotta take for somebody else just so you can have it? You feel me? It's like, if you want it, work to go get it.
It's gotten so bad that community associations near Flowers High are fighting back with their eyes and ears, organizing along with County Council Chair Jolene Ivey what they're calling the Community Power Hour.
Just did something to the gut of her stomach to hear that when our students are walking home from school, people are strong-arming them.
Ivey today handing out flyers along with Flowers principal Gorman Brown.
If you could just be outside, visible, keep your eyes out.
Hoping an alert community will protect the students.
People out there, they do not care about us, okay? They don't care about being civilized. They don't care about making their own money and buying things. They care about the easy, quick way of robbing people.
At busy dismissal time today, as students head home on buses, on foot, or in cars, student Sydney Hassan says the community watch will provide some comfort.
It makes it feel like there's a community watching out for us.
And while this effort is focusing on this high school community in this particular neighborhood, the organizers say there is no reason why this can't be picked up region-wide to keep many more children safe. In Springdale, Brad Bell, Fox 45 News.
All right, let's take a look at your 10-day forecast. We have some great news and perhaps some not so great news, but let's get to the good stuff first, okay? Low 70s as we get into Wednesday, mid 70s on the table Thursday. Friday, we get quite a good bit of warmer weather. Some showers possible late on Friday. We're not expecting this to be a total washout of a weekend, so that's the good news. We could see it at least lingering a bit into your Saturday, but not so bad. Later into next week, we could see a pretty big temperature drop back into the 50s. So it is the start of spring that week. Will we feel like spring? Maybe tough.
Well, finally tonight, with Easter just a few weeks away, the annual Cadbury Bunny Contest has an unusual competitor. A miniature therapy horse named Peaches is a semifinalist in this year's competition. Standing just 26 inches tall, Peaches is vying for a big title. The winner gets to appear in Cadbury's next commercial. She's been practicing, learning how to bunny hop and pose for selfies. I want to see the bunny hop. Do we have it? The finalists will battle it out in an Instagram vote, which closes March 23rd. Maybe it's online. Well, that's all for Fox 45 News. We'll see you back here for the news at 10 tonight. Thanks for watching. Good night.